Okay, so imagine like you're trying to break into some super secure fortress,
Yeah.
right? And you find this like secret passageway. Nobody else knows about it. That's kind of like a zero-day exploit. We're diving deep into those today.
Yeah, it's kind of wild when you think about it.
A whole stack of research here. Uh, I got to say, this is one of the topics I knew the least about coming into this.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do.
So let's break it down.
Okay, so a zero-day exploit is like a software vulnerability, right? Like a flaw in the code. And it's called zero-day because it's unknown, even to the developers.
Okay, so the people who made the software, they don't even know about it.
Exactly. So there's 0 days to fix it. It's exploitable right away.
Yeah.
That's where the term comes from.
Okay, so that's the technical stuff.
Eh,
But why should people even care? Like, what's the big deal?
It's a huge deal.
Besides sounding kind of cool.
Right, well, think about it. Like the MOVEit hack last year. Remember that one?
I do.
That was a 0-day exploit, and boom, 60 million people affected.
Yeah, 60 million.
That's wild.
And that's just one example. All right, it's not just about stealing data either, right? I mean, this is getting serious, like, nation-state level stuff.
Oh, absolutely. The
Yeah.
lines between like physical warfare and cyber warfare are getting super blurry.
Yeah, give me an example of that.
Look at Stuxnet.
Stuxnet, okay.
This was back in 2010, so not even that long ago, really. And this wasn't just some random hackers. This was allegedly a U.S.-Israeli operation.
Wow.
Super sophisticated malware, and they used a 0-day exploit to actually physically sabotage Iran's nuclear program.
Hold on. Wait, so you're saying this wasn't just like stealing information or shutting down a website?
Nope, this was causing real-world physical damage.
How?
So basically, Stuxnet targeted these things called programmable logic controllers. They're like the brains of industrial systems.
Okay.
And they manipulated the centrifuges that Iran was using to enrich uranium,
Oh, wow.
making spin out of control, self-destruct. It was insane.
That is straight out of a movie.
Right. It was a major turning point in cyber warfare. Showed everyone what these digital attacks could actually do, like real-world consequences.
So, okay, this is scary stuff. But I got to ask about this whole underground market thing, right? Like, I know these exploits get bought and sold for big money.
Oh, yeah. You're talking millions of dollars for a single 0-day exploit.
Millions.
On the dark web, it's a hot commodity. And the more sophisticated the exploit, the higher the price tag.
Right. So this is why people are hunting for them. I mean, some people are trying to protect systems,
Yeah,
but others are trying to exploit them.
exactly. It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah. So that leads to some pretty big ethical questions, right?
Yeah.
Like if you find one of these things, what do you do?
It's a tough one. Some people say you got to report it, right? Get it patched, protect people.
Right.
But then you have governments who are stockpiling these things, saying it's for national security intelligence gathering.
But couldn't that backfire?
Yeah.
I mean, what if they get into the wrong hands?
It's a gamble, for sure.
Yeah.
And there's no easy answer.
So what are we doing to fight this?
Huh.
I mean, are we just constantly playing catch up?
Well, yeah, it's a lot of reacting after the fact. Big tech companies like Google, Microsoft, they're offering these bug bounty programs, where ethical hackers get rewarded for finding and reporting vulnerabilities.
Okay, so like paying people to find the holes before the bad guys do.
Exactly. And it can be serious money. 6 figures, 7 figures sometimes. The idea is to incentivize people to do the right thing, disclose the vulnerability instead of selling it on the black market.
But wouldn't it be better to just stop these vulnerabilities from happening in the first place?
Well, of course. But it's tricky, right? Software development is super complex. And human error is a factor. You can't eliminate it completely.
I guess that's true.
Plus, you've got AI getting more involved in code development now, which is interesting because it can speed things up.
Yeah.
But it can also introduce new and totally unpredictable flaws.
So it's like a constant arms race, right?
Mm-hmm.
The better we get at making software, the better the tools get for breaking it.
Exactly. And the stakes just keep getting higher and higher.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Our lives are so connected to the digital world now. If someone crippled critical infrastructure like power grids or financial systems using one of these exploits, I mean, that could be catastrophic.
No doubt. It's a serious threat.
So after diving into all this, the question is, where do we go from here? Are we headed for some kind of digital doomsday scenario? Or is there a way to balance security and innovation? Like, what do you think?
Well, I think
That's their way to do both.
I think there has to be.
Right.
It's a challenge for sure, but we can't just bury our heads in the sand and pretend this isn't happening.
Exactly. We've got to be proactive.
And the first step is awareness, right? Just understanding the threat. That's what we're doing here today.
Right. So what can our listeners do? I mean, what actions can they take to protect themselves?
Well, the basics are still important. Strong passwords, Two-factor authentication, keeping your software updated.
Right.
But it's also about staying informed, right? Knowing about the latest threats,
Yeah.
being cautious about what you click on, what you download.
Right. Don't just click on every link.
Exactly. And remember that everyone's a target. Individuals, businesses, governments, we're all in this together.
Yeah. This has been super informative. I gotta say, I'm walking away from this with a lot more to think about than when I came in.
Well, that's the goal, right?
It really is.
To make people think, to spark a conversation.
So after all this talk about zero-day exploits, I'm starting to think about all the other kinds of exploits out there. Like, what about the stuff we haven't even discovered yet? The vulnerabilities that are lurking in the shadows waiting to be found.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's a constant cat and mouse game.
And it makes you wonder what the future holds. I mean, is this just going to keep escalating? Are we headed for a world where cyber attacks are just a constant part of life?
It's a scary thought, but it's also a call to action, right?
Yeah.
We need to be smarter. We need to be more vigilant. We need to work together to find solutions.
Yeah, because this digital world isn't going away.
Nope. It's only getting bigger and more complex.
All right, well, that's our deep dive into zero-day exploits. Definitely a lot to think about. I want to thank you for coming on the show and breaking all this down.
Anytime. It's been a pleasure.
And to all our listeners out there, stay safe, stay informed, and we'll see you next time for another deep